watching WB33 News at 9.
People that harbor men who prey on these young girls are as guilty as the men who do it. They ought to be in jail.
Are men who exploit children getting a free ride from family planning and abortion centers? WB33 looks into allegations of wrongdoing inside North Texas clinics. There are allegations tonight that some family planning and abortion clinics aren't following a critical law meant to protect children.
In a 3-month investigation, WB33 uncovered disturbing and possibly illegal activity. WB33's Dawn Tongish has more in this exclusive On Target investigation.
The law we're talking about requires employees of these clinics to report suspected child abuse. Now, these facilities see a lot of underage girls who could be victims of abuse. But a North Texas undercover operation shared exclusively with WB33 reveals the law is possibly being ignored.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood.
I'm going to be 14 in March.
It's a call that should cause alarm.
I was wondering if you guys do abortions there.
She says she's a 13-year-old child.
But my boyfriend's 22.
Pregnant by an older man. In the eyes of the law, that's sexual assault. The man could go to jail.
Well, would you have to tell anybody that I was on birth control?
Everything's confidential here.
Confidential?
Oh, okay.
That's not what the law says. Employees who work for family planning centers and abortion clinics are considered mandatory reporters. If a worker even suspects child abuse, that employee is obligated to tell authorities.
If a girl is beneath the age of consent and she is sexually active, by definition, that is evidence of sexual abuse.
Mark Crutcher, an activist with a pro-life agenda, says he has evidence North Texas centers are failing to report the sexual abuse of minors.
The abortion industry consistently goes out here and talks about how much they care about these girls and how much they're trying to serve these girls. And you know, what we discovered, of course, is that basically they're running a pedophile protection racket.
Crutcher, who founded Life Dynamics in Denton, earlier this year says his group taped telephone calls to more than 800 family planning and abortion clinics across the country, including 18 in North Texas.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood.
Life Dynamics staged a scenario in which the caller, an adult, claimed she was a 13-year-old girl pregnant by her 22-year-old boyfriend. The girl doesn't want anyone to find out.
Well, does anybody have to know about, like, getting a pregnancy test?
No, nobody has to know anything. You just walk in. You can be 10 years old and walk in and get a pregnancy test, and nobody has to tell anybody.
But local police, child abuse investigators tell us a minor asking for a pregnancy test, even birth control, should prompt a report. But in this call to Trinity Valley Women's Clinic in Fort Worth, it seems that isn't a problem.
You're sure no one would have to know about me and my boyfriend or anything? Okay.
No, not to do pregnancy tests or birth control pills, anything but an abortion. Nobody has to know.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't even have to show your ID when you do the pregnancy test.
In another call to Dallas, the employee sounds like she's coaching the girl to hide her abuser's age.
So nobody would find out about him?
We don't even want to know about him because technically we would have to report him to the cops.
Oh. Okay.
Like I said, that's statutory rape. And statutory means that in the legal books, in the penal code, it says that if you are having sex with a person who is 2 years younger than you, then that's considered rape.
Some centers around the country and in North Texas told the girl they would report. But Life Dynamics says in 91% of the calls, the people on the phone agreed to cover up the relationship.
Well, what if it said that I wasn't pregnant?
I mean, if you're not pregnant, it's not that, well, I don't want to say it's not that big of a deal. It's just we don't have to report if you're not pregnant.
She should have immediately on the phone been getting information. I mean, she's a trained medical provider, I assume.
We played the tapes for state lawmaker Phil King, who is also an attorney. The pro-life Republican was troubled by what he heard.
She should have been getting information, but exceptionally concerned that a 22-year-old had sexual relations with a 13-year-old. But all they were concerned about, as you could tell, was telling her how to get this abortion.
This is against the law, and they're selling their procedure.
Carol Everett, who was on the task force that wrote the laws for abortion clinics, says the centers are ignoring their legal obligations.
That is a sick relationship that needs to be stopped immediately, and the clinic has a responsibility to report that information to Child Protective Services in the state of Texas, if not to the authorities in the city.
In a written statement, Planned Parenthood told us they comply fully with child welfare reporting obligations, but a spokesperson refused to do an interview because, Catherine Ellen writes, Planned Parenthood questions the reliability of staged tapes prepared by an organization with a notorious anti-Planned Parenthood agenda.
We have over 8,000 files.
Crutcher doesn't deny his agenda. He wants the abortion industry shut down. And he says the tapes help bolster his goal.
Sure. We're a pro-life organization. I'm very pro-life, and I think these people ought to be put out of business. And here is more evidence that I'm right.
We asked Planned Parenthood to provide us evidence that Crutcher is wrong, that they do tell authorities. They refused to provide us with any reports. Crutcher now plans to start filing lawsuits across the country against these facilities. He says to further his goal of shutting them down. Dawn Tongish, WB33 News at 9.
And for more information on what Texas laws say about...
You're watching WB33 News at 9.
Again and again, these people encouraged her to lie, encouraged her to deceive her parents, encouraged her to violate state law.
A pro-life group ran a sting operation targeting abortion clinics and family planning centers. Now they say they've uncovered practices that may be putting children in jeopardy. The pro-life organization that conducted the undercover operation claims some North Texas clinics are ignoring laws that protect children.
All clinics are required to report suspected sexual abuse, and they're required to tell a parent if a minor is trying to get an abortion. But are they? WB33's Dawn Tongish has more in this on-target investigation.
The parental notification law is intended to keep parents in the loop in what is a very difficult decision, a minor seeking an abortion. But the North Texas sting operation, shared exclusively with WB33, reveals what may be attempts to cut parents out of that process. Mark Crutcher, who founded the pro-life organization Life Dynamics in Denton, says he has evidence of widespread disregard for the law.
I mean, you know, I'm not even supposed to be telling you this. So.
Life Dynamics staged more than 800 calls to clinics across the country. Crutcher says in 91% of the calls they found violations of the law. Life Dynamics also found evidence the parental notification law is not being followed.
Trinity Valley Women's Center.
This call came to Trinity Valley Women's Clinic in Fort Worth, where the caller is first encouraged to tell a parent.
How about telling your mom? You would be surprised at how understanding they can be.
I mean, they never listen to me. I mean, they don't understand anything.
Then listen to what's suggested next. It sounds like the employee is telling the caller to bring in a man willing to pose as a parent.
Gosh, even if he was older, I mean, we have to see their driver's license.
Okay.
We can't prove that they're not your mom or dad. We don't, you know, they just have to swear on an affidavit here in our office that says that they are your, you know, parent.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, you know, I'm not even supposed to be telling you this, so, but there's no way that I can know for a fact that who you bring in here is not your mom or dad.
The next day, the caller talks to the same employee.
I was talking to my boyfriend, and I told him what you said about getting someone to come in that was old enough to look like my dad.
Yes.
Well, he's got an uncle who's 50 who said he would do it.
Well, as long as he doesn't tell me he's not your father, then we're all right.
Here is an adult saying, go out and find you somebody who looks old enough to be your daddy and bring him in, and we'll know that he's not your daddy, but just make sure he doesn't say that to us. And we'll let him sign the parental consent documents. We'll even notarize them for you and send them off to the state. I mean, it's outrageous.
What's that clinic may help you?
This call came into Westside Clinic in Fort Worth, where an employee suggests sending a letter that may or may not reach a parent.
Basically what it is you're going to give me your name, and you're going to have to send a certified letter to a parent. And if that letter comes back to us, it doesn't matter. Even if it comes back, it's returned, it doesn't get to your parents. And after 48 hours, if we don't hear anything from anybody or we get the letter back, we can schedule you for an appointment even though you're underage.
Okay, but you're sure my parents wouldn't find out that way?
Well, like I said, we have to at least attempt to reach a parent.
They're circumventing the process, and they're getting around the law. And again, what you heard committed was a crime.
State lawmaker Phil King, who helped write the parental notification law, listened to the tapes and was stunned by the boldness.
You know, if they were worried about getting caught, they would say, well, before we talk, come in person and let me meet with you. They aren't even doing that. They're doing it over the phone. So that tells me they're doing it all the time. It's very offensive.
I'm very disappointed and troubled.
Even King's Democrat counterpart, Dale Tillery, who is pro-choice, thought the clinics went too far.
This is a violation of the law. It's not a loophole. It's not legal to do this. It's illegal conduct.
The tapes have raised questions about what is really going on inside the clinics. Some lawmakers are calling for an investigation by the Attorney General, and so is Crutcher.
If it's true, then what you're looking at here is the largest criminal conspiracy in American history. If that doesn't justify a full-scale investigation by every state in this country into these family planning organizations, I don't know what would.
A formal inquiry could soon be on the way. The State Department of Health, which regulates abortion clinics, is considering an investigation. And the Attorney General, John Cornyn, has contacted us. He wants to hear the tapes. Dawn Tongish, WB33 News at 9.
You're watching WB33 News at 9.
Without these children walking through the front doors of these abortion clinics, a very significant percentage of their profit would walk out the door.
Allegations tonight by a Denton pro-life group that some family planning centers and abortion clinics may not be reporting possible sex abuse victims. The market to provide reproductive health services, including abortion, can be a profitable one.
So profitable, one pro-life organization based in Denton claims some North Texas clinics may possibly be willing to break the law. WB33's Dawn Tongish has more in her On Target investigation.
This undercover operation, shared exclusively with WB33, reveals what may be widespread disregard for laws that shield kids from abuse. The pro-life organization that initiated this sting believes that these clinics are failing to protect children, choosing profits instead.
They're not interested in coming out and saying, oh yeah, we cover up for pedophiles all the time. They're not going to say that. So the only way to do that was to go undercover.
Mark Crutcher, who founded the pro-life organization Life Dynamics in Denton, spearheaded the sting.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood.
We're looking at the largest criminal conspiracy in American history, and the victims are children.
Trinity Valley Women's Center.
This call came to Trinity Valley Women's Clinic, where it seems the employee suggests a way around the law that says a parent must be notified before a minor gets an abortion. The employee talks about bringing in a man to pose as a parent. We took the tape to that clinic in Fort Worth to get an explanation.
Linda, is she here?
I'm asking you to go ahead and leave.
Okay, so she's not here. What time will she be back in the morning?
I have no idea. There's no comments. Please leave.
Okay.
We did reach the clinic employee by phone.
If they walk in this door and say, I'm not really her parent, then okay, bye-bye.
We played the tape, confronting her with her own recorded voice.
I can tell you that I told her that she has to sign a sworn affidavit putting her life in jeopardy if she's not the true parent.
What were you trying to tell her about bringing someone in who is old enough to be her parent?
Very much.
We also wanted to get answers from Westside Clinic in Fort Worth. In a call that came in there, an employee suggested sending a letter that may or may not reach a parent.
And if that letter comes back to us, it doesn't matter. Even if it comes back, it's returned, it doesn't get to your parents. And after 48 hours, if we don't hear anything from anybody or we get the letter back, we can schedule you for an appointment even though you're underage.
At the clinic, we found a woman who said she was the director.
So that wouldn't be something that you would tell them that would be okay if the letter came back to you?
No.
Well, that's what Dawn told a girl.
Dawn told her that.
Mm-hmm. Did Dawn make a mistake in doing that?
No, she didn't make a mistake because that's not what she was told. And that's not what she said. So.
Well, then you would probably like to hear this tape. I've got it right here. We can go in a back room and you can listen to it.
That's okay. You can play it to the corporate office if you want.
We tried to call that corporate office. The phone has been off the hook for weeks. We also wanted to get answers from clinics accused of violating the law requiring medical providers to report suspected child abuse. Police investigators say a minor seeking a pregnancy test or birth control should prompt a report. In a written statement, Planned Parenthood told us they fully comply with child welfare reporting obligations, according to a spokesperson, Catherine Allen. But in this call to one of their centers, an employee indicates a girl getting a pregnancy test won't trigger a report.
Well, does anybody have to know about, like, getting a pregnancy test?
No, nobody has to know anything. You just walk in. You can be 10 years old and walk in and get a pregnancy test, and nobody has to tell anybody.
These clinics don't care about minors, or they wouldn't be talking to that child that way.
Carol Everett used to own abortion clinics. She says it was standard practice to target teens, seen as likely repeat customers. Everett says in the calls, the only concern seems to be the clinic's bottom line.
If it were truly about helping the girl, they would stop the telephone call, say, tell your parents we cannot help you. But this is a potential client who has the money to come into their clinic.
Crutcher, too, believes the clinics are cashing in on their crimes. If the market for minors goes away, he says, so does a lot of money.
Without these children walking through the front doors of these abortion clinics, a very significant percentage of their profit would walk out the door.
An abortion can cost up to $400. 2 years ago in Texas, more than 4,000 underage girls got abortions. Added up, and Crutcher says the clinics have one lucrative reason to keep on serving these girls despite the law. Dawn Tongish, WB33 News at 9.